In this segment, I'd like to introduce you all to Kim Ferrer. Kim is a resident of Fort Collins, Colorado, and she is a participant in this year's Rocky Mountain Biennial. Kim, welcome to the program.
Thanks. It's good to be here.
Now, tell me a little bit about how you came to enter the biennial show. When did you hear about it? When did you plan on entering? And how did you choose what you entered into this year's show?
Well, initially I got an email through CSU. I teach in the art department there. And to be honest, initially I wasn't going to enter the show. I had some things that were in the works. They were close to being done that I would have liked to have submitted. And I didn't think I could get it all together in time. And then my friend Cheryl Rogers, who actually works at the museum, called me up and she said, "Are you entering anything into the show? You need to be entering something into the show." And I told her about these two pieces and she's like, "Oh, come on. They sound like they would be perfect." And, so she really gave me that little extra push that I was like, okay, come on, let's see if you can make this happen. And I did. And, actually the other big consideration was the juror. I looked her up and I was really impressed by her writing and the art that she likes to talk about and review. And I thought, wow, if I don't enter this show, I'm really going to miss an opportunity here. So I did. And then I got in, which was kind of a surprise to me, actually. You never know what a juror's looking for. You never know if a juror has a theme that they're working with and if you're going to fit in. And it's always luck of the draw, really. Have
you done other shows at the museum?
Yeah, actually, I was in the biennial. I want to say the last time they ran it, which was quite a few years ago. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure I was in that biennial show 2 times, and that was a long time ago. But it's a great space, and I was in a couple of shows at the Lincoln Center, which again was a long time ago, but that's a really, really nice space too for any artist, local or not. The inspiration really is when you get to a point later in your life. And I think 60 is a real marker when you start looking at time very differently. The lens of time changes quite a bit. And sure, you're still looking back at all the events that have happened in your life, and you start to look forward in that timeline too, and you realize you've lived more than what you have left. So those 2 pieces were created in tandem. Mm-hmm. And the one is about the past, that being frozen in a very particular moment in time. And that piece in particular speaks to a moment in time in childhood, young childhood. And the piece on the wall called From Beginning to End, for me, that one represents the whole timeline and events that can happen that really leave a mark on you forever, mm-hmm. As you're moving forward or further along the line, or the gangplank is what it feels like sometimes. There's these events that have happened that leave a mark, leave a scar, are life-changing. They change your path, all those things. And that piece for me is almost like a measuring stick of those type of events and the transition.
And what I was about ready to ask you about was the process, your creative process for these pieces.
Okay, the creative process for these pieces. In general, with a lot of my three-dimensional work, it starts with finding the materials. And most times the finding is a very random act. A lot of times I feel like the material finds me. I'm not seeking it. The piece on the wall from beginning to end, that originally was a limb at a campground that the campground host took from some campers because they were burning it and they weren't supposed to be burning green wood. And he had it laying there. Happened to be there camping, and I saw the burnt, and I asked him, I said, can I have that? And he goes, well, I don't know, maybe you're not going to burn it, are you? And I'm like, no, this is for art. He said, oh, well then, okay. So I had that thing for, I don't know, maybe a year. And then those white picket fence with the mud on the one end, those were some pickets that I collected years and years ago. Just because I loved the patina, the natural coloration and texture that was happening, and then the dirt was amazing. So it starts with the finding.
Okay.
And then the next part of the process is typically a feeling that is welling up within inside of me. And then I'm walking around my yard where I have all my things stored, or my studio, and I'll see it. I'll see the material that is somehow connecting to the feeling that's churning up. And then I just start building with it. Or the case of the piece on the wall, I knew I wanted to strip the bark off. I knew I wanted to cut a hole in the middle of it, a slit. To get that slit, I had to cut it in half. And then that ended up working to my advantage, I feel like. And I knew I wanted to cut part of it off and cast it in bronze. So there'll oftentimes be things that I know I want to do. I don't necessarily have the XYZ of why I want to do them. It's going off of an impulse. It's going off of a desire of, this is what I need to do with it. And I just keep rolling with that. And then oftentimes I'll get to a point and then it sits. And then I'm working on something else. And then I come back around to it. I guess when the feeling starts to churn, or when I've made some decisions about some things that have brought me to the next step with it. You can call it surprise, or you can call it, you start to have a conversation or a dialogue with the object that you're working on.
Yeah.
And you can listen to what it's saying or not. And I think it's when you're really listening is when you get those, you can call them surprises, or you get guided to what really needs to happen in a work.